an hour-long podcast, solo podcast is a bit...
Yeah, it's too much. Like, I could chat for an hour, but I don't really know anyone who'd want to sit and listen to me for an hour. Already recording. Recording for like 10 minutes already.
You haven't know it.
There we go. See how it's just nicely framed.
Interesting.
Cool. So Cam, to everyone listening, hello, welcome to the podcast, Yellow and Concrete Podcast. I've got Cameron Barr with me, locally known as Cam.
Yeah. Someone asked me the other
no one
day-
ever calls you Cameron.
No, someone asked me about, like, my boss was like, oh, do you have any nicknames?
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Just Cam.
Just Cam.
Cameron.
I think we've got names which are like hard to abbreviate though.
Yeah.
Like you can do Cam or Gray for mine, but I never get a nickname.
But then no one ever puts any more thought into it.
No.
Well,
Just-
they probably did. I just probably never heard them names.
You think people just like go home and just like make walls of names, just like, the fuck can I call this guy?
Really slowly posting them through loads of people. People's houses. Like.
Yes. Oh shit, I'm vibrating. But yeah, so generally I introduce people with like what they do, and usually that's like their job. But I feel like your job doesn't really define you, because you're more just like a, I don't know, I see you as like a wayward traveller.
I take that as a compliment. Like,
just in life. Like,
yeah, someone who can't quite express what they want to do, really.
I mean, yes, I think that a lot of people feel that.
Innit?
Struggle to figure out what they want to do, or how they want to participate in the world.
Mm.
And that works.
I haven't quite got there yet.
We'll go with the simple starter question, which I ask everybody, of how long we've known each other.
Time?
Yeah, like time-wise, how long we know.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, we've known each other for time, is what I'm saying. Well, when did...
It's
It
got
was
to be
obviously
like
from work, wasn't it?
3 years or so.
Was that when we met or when I left?
I don't know, it seems to be a while. I mean, I've been in this house 5 years,
Shit.
and I've been here through that time. So it's got to be like a couple of years, maybe.
Yeah.
Because we met through work, and then it's kind of like on and off since then. Which is why, again, like, you kind of just like a wayward traveller, because you just appear every so often.
I
Back
remember
into
the
life.
other day when you described me as a wasp. Like, there was a bit
wasp?
like, what? Yeah, and you were like, yeah, because you don't give a fuck, you just go,
Yeah.
and then you come back and stuff.
Yeah. You know, like a bee. Like bees are trapped by the hive. You just like go do whatever the fuck you want.
That's true. But wasps have I guess they have a nest, don't they? They don't really have a hive.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know why wasps nest unless it's just to make more wasps. I don't know that much about wasps. Maybe the analogy was bad.
No, I don't know, because you only ever see one, I guess. So
Yeah, you never see like a group of wasps unless it's a
like
nest.
a gang of wasps.
Yeah.
Come on, fuck your shit on.
Is that your plan? so you're on your own until you get your gang together and just fuck shit up.
I did watch The Warriors the other day.
Yeah?
I have not seen that before.
You've never seen The Warriors?
Yeah, and I don't
That's
know
a
why I
great
haven't
film.
seen it. It's excellent. And for like a couple of weeks, I was adamant that I was going to start a gang.
I was in Nottingham recently, and there was like, because it's obviously it's summer holidays out, the kids have just gone back, but like, there was this group of, they had to be like 13, 14-year-old kids on bikes, like riding through Nottingham Centre, and I was like, it's like being in Mad Max, just, it's like watching gangs of teens ride from one place to the next and fuck crap up. But that's what we should all aspire to, I guess. In one way or another.
I like to think so.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's
yeah. I kind of like that you just go and do things though.
Yeah, but then when I come back, like, so, with my recent trip.
Yeah, you were in Nepal, wasn't it? Or somewhere.
Yeah, Nepal.
Yeah.
And I left from Norwich, and I came back to Lincoln.
Okay.
And because I'm from Lincoln, it felt really natural. And then I realised that I hadn't actually been in Lincoln for a year and a half before I left for Nepal.
Oh shit.
And then it really kind of put me in a weird like where have I been? And then I need to see all my friends in Norwich. I haven't seen them in ages. Like, but then it's just one of them things. Now I'm back in Lincoln.
You kind of feel like a bit disconnected. Like, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. But then there's a good thought in knowing that I got that there's friends everywhere really.
Yeah, I think it's nice when you got like friends who you can just, doesn't matter where you've been, you just come back and pick up like where you left off. Like when we like run into each other at the pub, it's like I could have seen you yesterday, and yeah, it would be exactly the same. It's when you've got that disconnect of like if you meet them and then it's not the same. I think that's maybe that's the little sad bit.
I've had a couple of those.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to... Well, just kind of like feel like I'm going to get back into the swing of things, and then it's somehow different, and then I kind of going around in my head like, oh, like, have they changed or have I changed? And then kind of just thinking, well, it doesn't really matter because everyone changes into their own person.
Yeah, they've had development time as much as like you've had development time.
Exactly.
I know, like, I mean, in a way, I've only started doing that in like the last maybe like 7 years or so, because I don't talk to anyone from like childhood. Like, I have a real habit of like cutting people off and just being like, nah, fuck that. That's like a period of my life which is closed.
I know what you're saying.
It's like something that's like slightly gangrenous, and you're like, you know, fuck it, I'm just gonna chop that off. Like, I don't need that foot anymore.
Yeah. No, that's...
Whereas like some people really hold on to it. Yeah. Like, it was fun, but we're different people. So it's just like, nah.
I tend to find people from school kind of, especially like early secondary school people, if you ever see them again. You never know what to say, do you? Like, you kind of see them and you're like, oh, hey, so how are things? And it's like, well, I haven't seen you in about 10 years. I
literally had that I ran into a guy who I went through senior school with, all of senior school. He was like one of my best friends. Close social group. It was 2 years afterwards, I'd been at uni. Met him in a bar, off like randomly, because his family happened to live in Lincoln now. Said hi to him, and that was the end of the conversation. I just didn't have anything to say. And I was like, I don't want to know about your life. Like, you don't want to know about mine. Let's just move on. And we both just walked away from each other. It was kind of nice.
Was that like an unspoken kind of...
Yeah, it was like a...
Hey.
Yep. You still exist.
That's enough.
Yep. I still exist. Cool.
I'll hang this out the window.
I guess we'll read the obituary.
Yeah.
At some point. And then we'll be like, oh shit, I knew that guy at one point. Fuck.
Pops up on your like Facebook thing. It's his birthday today, and you're like, shut up. Maybe not. Like.
It's like Facebook keeps trying to remind me that I've got memories. It's like, Graham, did you know that 4 years ago you did this? I'm like, why the fuck did I do that?
Yeah.
It's like, it's
why are they still doing that?
Like angsty posts from like first year uni. Back when I thought it was pretentious. I'm pretentious now.
No, that's a whole different kettle of fish.
That is a whole other ramble.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd say 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Know each other.
It's a good long time.
Yeah.
After this one, we'll just cut off.
Yeah. So you're gonna.
This will be the last conversation. At least we got it on tape.
Yeah, it's on record now. Like.
So everybody listen close, because this ain't ever happening again. We'll see each other in bars and just blank one another and be like...
No, we'll probably both end up doing like crazy things and then coming back into this scenario. And then
I'd be happy to do that.
And then we'll probably have the same conversation.
Yeah. And then we'll sit here for, like 10 minutes discussing how we... Okay.
But I don't think we'll ever get to that point where, like you were saying with your friend, like that we'd see each other in like the co-op or something and just go, hey, yo.
Yeah. I think it is, it's like a... Not like a bond, but it's like a mutual interest in keeping it going, in a way. Yeah. We've got the right idea of friendship. Yeah. Everybody else is doing it fucking wrong. Buying your friends gifts, what you like, Jesus.
Wishing you happy birthday on Facebook. Like you care. You were prompted for that, like... thanks.
Just sound like the two grumpiest old men. It's like wishing your friends figured out Facebook in my day. We used to go see my fucking friends.
I can't wait for that though. Sitting on the bench and complaining about the youth.
I mean, we can do that now. Essentially, this is all this podcast is people similarly aged sitting and complaining about the world.
It's a whole different world now. I can understand why, like, people of the older generation, like, who are like 20 or 30 years older than us, like, you get into that point where you spend your whole life learning about the world in one way, but the world constantly changes, so then you're thrown into this other, like, you're already established, you've learned everything you've learned, and suddenly you have to learn everything again. Yeah. And
suddenly someone comes along and goes, you know what, you might have been doing it wrong for 20 years or so.
YOLO.
And it's like, yeah. You're like, hang on a minute, what the fuck do you say? Yeah. You know nothing, boy.
Yeah. Back in my day. And then it starts. People can't start now though, man. Like,
I don't, like, there's so many people like who are our age, like, I mean, how old are you now? Like
26.
Yeah, 26, yeah. And I'm 27, it's just like, you're kind of in that situation where there's so many people our age who are saying, like, back in my day, you're like, we've only just passed a quarter of essentially what we can live to. Like,
yeah, we ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, you've still got a good 3/4 of your life to go. if you're pissed off now, like, if this change is bothering you, please understand that there's more to come.
It's only going to get more as well, isn't it? Like,
it's only going to get weirder.
The world's going to be a strange place in 10, 20 years. I think.
Definitely.
Like, it's going to be...
I mean, I don't know if it'd be
not
strange,
quite Jetsons,
though.
But...
Because, I mean, like, you could say that now. I mean, you think like to when we were like 16. That's completely different to like now.
Yeah. But we don't... Actually, saying that, yeah, it was completely different, but we're so used to this one that we're not... Like, it's like nostalgic or reminiscent, like, when you think about when you were younger, I think. Like, you know, when you're younger and then, like, say, for, like, now we organise this, like, using messages and things like this.
Yeah.
But back in the day, like...
That's madness, yeah.
I'd have to have called you and you'd have had to have had a house phone.
I mean, even
come
like...
over and knocked and said,
fucking podcast. So, like, 10 years ago, this would have been like something you do on pirate radio. It'd be like you couldn't just record onto, like, a device and then publish that to the internet. And then have randomers listen to... I mean, nobody listens to this, but...
I listen to it.
I know. Like one of the 20 people who are listening. Yeah. It's crazy, though, because, like, I think, like, if you think 10 years ago, you couldn't have imagined this. So I think it's like, despite even though what we know about technology now, I don't think you can predict 10 years ago what will be going on.
No, that's a really, yeah.
Because, like, I mean, like...
Not incomprehensible, but...
Yeah. I mean, like, you think of Facebook. Like, Facebook was MySpace. Like, it was a very similar thing to MySpace when it started. And everyone knew MySpace, and they were like, it's a fad, it'll last, like, a certain amount of time, which it did. And then Facebook came along, and everyone was like, it's a fad, it'll last a certain amount of time. And now, literally, everyone uses Messenger. It's like, it's become more than, like, a social platform.
Yeah.
And nobody could have predicted that. Like, nobody could predict Facebook would introduce a messaging service which would outweigh text.
I think, yeah, it's probably going to get to the point where no one's going to buy phone contracts with, like... Because no one, like, it doesn't cost a phone company anything anyway when you make a call, or because all the antennas are in place, right? It's just maintenance work. So it doesn't cost the tariff that you have. So eventually it's just going to be, you'll buy a phone and then you can have data.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, like, you want a data plan, don't you? I mean, last time you actually make a phone call... Because, like, even for a phone call, you can make that through, like, WhatsApp.
Yeah, just online.
Yeah, or through Facebook.
And, like, with my network provider, they have, like, I can call, like, over Wi-Fi, if I have Wi-Fi, and then just do it straight from that. So it's just...
It's
kind of notifying yourself.
But then, I guess the thing with that, though, is if that becomes, like, the constant, how... I mean, people have, like, a culture shock now when they go to, like, other countries, and which aren't set up as much as we are. And then they go, all right, cool, so our standalone is everything's internet-based. We get rid of, like, phone lines and all that kind of stuff. Get rid of text. And then you go to, like, a country which isn't fully integrated. And you're like, hang on a minute, wait. You don't have Wi-Fi in every building? Like, how is that a standard?
That's the thing. This is what I found, though, in Nepal.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's the most developing country in the world, sort of thing. It's like the poorest country.
Yeah, yeah.
There's free Wi-Fi in every single cafe. Majoritively, except for the proper shanty cafes, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And everyone has a phone and a smartphone because they're right next to, like, Taiwan and Japan and Taiwan and China and Korea and stuff. But they have, like, versions of smartphones that, like, so we'll have is it Galaxy S1 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
They'll have the Galaxy J1.
Right.
Which is essentially exactly the same phone. It's got maybe, like, the specs are a little bit, like, dulled down.
Yeah.
But you can get one for about a couple of £100. And the contracts they have in Nepal.
Yeah.
It's like cheap mobile internet. It's all slow. I mean, it's barely, like, we would be so frustrated with it now. It's not convenient.
I love watching people get frustrated with the internet. I mean, I'm probably the most patient person I know. People are just like, why is this not going quicker? I was like,
clicking.
I don't care. Like, I grew up on dial-up. Like, this is fast.
That's the thing. Like,
it takes 10 minutes to load a webpage. I'm like, that's a good afternoon. That's well spent.
Just, like, remember watching an image, like pixel line after pixel line coming down. You're just like, yeah, I can see it soon. Like, you're trying to, like, peek over the picture. Like,
I can understand. Yeah, I need that little bit more. Do I wait for the whole image? Do I refresh it and try and get it quicker?
It's good because it teaches patience, man.
It does.
That's why now it's like, you know, everything's so convenient with the internet and everything like this. People get stressed out when, like, I can't connect to the internet. You're just like, mate, think about it. You're on a tablet on your phone. Like, what? You're on your phone, which is a computer, basically. Like, something that you'd only see on Star Trek or something when you were younger.
You're like, there's a sad point where you're like, where people aren't being blown away by technology. Like, that's kind of sad that you can be handed something and your brain just doesn't go, what the hell is that?
Pretty desensitized. Kind of blame Apple for that though.
Yeah. I mean, it kind
for
of...
the last 10 years they've done the same thing.
Yeah, they've been pushing it as like a standard. Like standard of living is just like, oh, here's Apple. But it kind of brings us around nicely to the point which you wanted to get onto, because everybody picks a theme, and yours was convenience.
But convenience is, I find it's...
I mean, I think we've segued nicely into that.
It's convenient.
Yeah, it was awfully convenient that we got discussing today. Yeah, I think we're kind of... That's always been the thing, though, hasn't it? Progression has been just an addition to convenience, essentially.
Mm.
Like, we make like technological advancements in other areas, like medicine and stuff like that, but essentially we're just making our lives comfortable.
Yeah, we've done it to the point now where everything's just bells and whistles.
Yeah.
But those bells and whistles will cost you. And that's my beef for convenience is, well, you have to pay for convenience.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, sometimes it makes sense, you know, it's a cheaper machine for a hospital is convenient for everyone because then everyone can be more conveniently checked out.
Yeah.
And that's convenient. But then when it's like, I don't know, you get a taxi, you don't have any money.
Yeah.
You used to be able to say, oh, can you swing by a cash point? And now they're like, oh no, we got a card reader in it. And you're like, oh cool. And they're like, it's £1 or £1.50.
Yeah.
There's cash machines that charge you. Like, you pay for convenience in one way or another.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's one of those weird things of like, I guess it's kind of like you what's the word? It's like the financial gap, isn't it? Of like, okay, so you got people who are at a certain like spend level, and you got people who are at a higher spend level, and what they consider convenient is completely different to what we consider convenient. So like, we see it as convenient as like, cool, I've got my house, I can go buy food whenever I want it, I've probably got TV or like internet access. That's pretty convenient. Like, I don't need much more than that to be convenient. Whereas like someone who has a lot of money and has been paying convenience for most of their life but never realised they were paying for it, will see it as like, well, no, because I need to be first in line for that, for all of that. I need someone to bring food to my house.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go.
If they don't have convenience, they feel inconvenienced. Yeah. When actually it's the opposite.
So it's like, once you get to that level of convenience where it's an everyday thing, it's kind of why you can understand people who do have a lot of money really struggle to comprehend it, because you're always in it. So you've been told that that's the normal, and then you kind of look back at it and you think, well, that's not the normal, because like for a lot of people that's spoiled in a way, but they can't see it. Yeah. And you can kind of understand how they can't see it.
Their bar there.
Yeah, it's like, especially if you're born into it. In a way, it's like, it's kind of sad when you see people born into it.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, it's I don't want to say unfair, but it's unfair on them really, because then like, well, if you start with nothing, then you appreciate a lot of things. If you start with a lot of things, then it's harder to appreciate the little things.
Yeah.
And you can probably feel inconvenienced as a result. But like a friend of mine, like, he's got quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
And like, he'll park his car somewhere where he knows he's going to get a ticket, which is convenient for him, but he's got the money to pay for the convenience. Yeah, and he'll just say, "Oh, I spent £40 on parking that day."
I think it's a weird thing that, like, because I was saying, obviously you're paying for that convenience, so if you can afford it, then fair enough. But it's like that thing of when you start to use your paid for convenience to inconvenience other people. So it's like with that, like, so they say you like park in like a disabled spot, and then you get a ticket, and you're like, well, it doesn't matter because I can pay for it. But it's like, yeah, but you've inconvenienced the guy who could park in that spot, who can't afford to pay that ticket. And you're like, so there's this weird like domino effect of how much that's kind of become a thing.
You're spot on.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I think it's one of those things of like, you're never gonna find a balance with it, because essentially we lost, like, I'm no advocate of capitalism in any way, shape or form, but it pays my bills. You know. But it's like, I think even if you kind of like, you remove that, it's like we introduced it essentially as a way to stop people like killing each other. It was like, cool, so rather than
to organise.
Yeah, it was like, right, so rather than it being, you're the biggest, you're the strongest, so you can have everything, it was like, well, no, because you can be the biggest and strongest, but you can be broke as fuck. He was like, you could clearly kill me, but that doesn't matter because you're poor. And it was like this weird like push we made for balance, which obviously we've been like progressing, and that's become like a whole thing now. But at the same time, you kind of look at it around the other way. You're like, right, so at some point you have to strike a balance there, but in a way, because of the chaos of the world we're in, I don't think you can strike a balance completely. No, because I mean, it's like you look at America right now, like they were getting towards a point where they were like, we might elect a socialist president, which hasn't happened for decades.
No, that was going to be
a whole thing.
Move, yeah.
And they was like, right, so you can't predict that Trump gets elected. I mean, he's a whole other bag of cats in himself. And it's like, right, cool, so now you got North Korea. Like, it's like, so even if you'd gotten to a point where you were getting socialism and it was all going well, North Korea comes along and you're like, well, you know what, we haven't got time to work on an economic standpoint because we may be going into World War III.
That is it, yeah. And then like, oh, we can't do it like, North Korea, is it the Democratic Republic of North Korea, Democratic Socialist Party of...
Well,
North Korea's full title.
I can't remember North Korea's full title. I don't think North Korea's full title matters at this point.
But then, yeah, back to capitalism in America and the West sort of thing. You have people in the high, like people that earn a lot, people that can spend a lot, people that have convenience down to a T sort of thing. You have half of them are kind of being dicks about it, and inconveniencing others, and then the other half that's kind of trying to be cool about it, but then it's still difficult because of what we were saying, and they're kind of too used to it. Yeah. And then the other side of that like wealth gap, you have the lower side of people, half of which are just really pissed off because they don't have as much money as the upper half, and then the other half who kind of are a bit more empathic and like can understand, like that. So you have both sides on both sides, and then it makes for messy progression.
I think
if it's progressive at all.
Deprogressive. I don't think you can avoid it though, because I know like a lot of people like there's always that message of like love will solve all. Like that's a big message for a lot of people who are like, yeah, love solves all. Love, you can solve anything with love. And it's like it's a nice idea, and it's a great. It's kind of like this like you discuss like political ideals and like socialism and stuff like that. And it's like they're great ideas. Nobody can question that. But again, fundamentally, due to the chaos of said world,
there's always that one guy that will fuck it up.
Well, yeah, it's like you get a group of like 10 people, and you all agree on an idea. One of those 10 people has a bad day. That idea can fall in seconds.
Their version on that idea, kind of like Marxism.
Yeah,
fundamentally amazing, but just well.
Well, no,
this is the thing. We probably both see it in different ways.
Well, no, I like communism as like an idea. I don't mind Marxism as an idea. What pisses me off about Marxism is the same thing which pisses me off about like capitalists, is that it's the arrogance which comes along with it. It's like, oh, so we've got this idea. It's the best idea ever. Everyone else is a dog, and it's just like, it's just a fucking idea.
As we were saying, everyone can have the same idea, but utilize it so differently. Yeah, that it just is 10 different ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it's that
That's
whole...
what happened to Marxism, because a load of terrible people use Marxism, but in their own light, their own dusty red light.
They made it work in their way, which was...
But then that's what we're doing with capitalism.
Well, yeah.
That's what everyone's doing with anything, really, isn't it?
It's such a stupid... I mean, it's not stupid, but it is stupid. It's not even stupid, it's kind of like... It's nonsensical at this point, I think.
It's kind of funny in the way it runs, isn't it?
I mean, you could say, because it's that whole... it rolls back to, like, the whole idea of convenience and privilege. Like, obviously, we're hugely privileged. Like, we live in a society which is privileged. We're both white males, so we're fairly privileged. We just exist, Never really struggled, particularly.
Yeah,
We've had bad days, but there's not much we can do about that, because for 20 years or so, we were living how people told us to live. To some extent, so you can even you kind of look at it as it's like cool. So then you sit in a back room and you make a podcast about stuff and you put the world to right. It's like we can sit there and say things, but it's like, it's like title of the show, yelling at concrete. You're shouting at nothing.
It is,
and it's like I kind of love it in like this weird, kind of self-defeating nihilistic manner of watching the world kind of yell at itself about itself. It's like you're literally just like you're so angry and you're so passionate about something which doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
The
it's
amount
like,
of people that I see like that.
yeah, I understand you want something to shout about, and you want something to give you passion in your life.
Yeah, but like it's like they're using the world as the warm bath theory, where it's like,
what's the warm bath theory?
It's like if you go to work and then like you get shit on basically by your bosses,
okay,
and maybe not work colleagues, but it's all about kind of, it's like trickle down.
Okay.
Not economics, because it's like a trickle down thing. So it's like you go to work and then you get frustrated because you're getting shit on basically.
Right.
So then you'll go home and then you'll vent to your family. So I think it was a Bertrand Russell, like a 1950s kind of. So it's kind of it's stylized to that period sort of thing. But you go home and you kind of complain to your family and you kind of vent in that way.
Yeah.
And you feel better as a result of getting shit on at work, and then you can continue both.
Okay, I kind of get that. I think I remember seeing something like essentially similar for that, but it was like about abuse. And it was like this whole idea of like, you're at work, your boss hates you, so you go home angry, so you beat your wife gets mad, so she beats the kid grows up, the kid goes to work, is shit to his employees, and it just kind of like trickles and repeats. It's like this that annoying cycle, which you can't really break.
Yeah, there's no,
because you can't control everyone's lives.
and you don't know. It's like you don't know that it's happening. It's kind of like if you use that ideology and put it to like the world, like, and it's I think it's convenience. Well, in my case, it's convenience because, like, I'll just think, fuck it, I'll pay for that. It's convenient.
Yeah.
Thus, I have like not a lot of money, and as a result of having not a lot of money, I struggle, and then as a result of that, I get frustrated with how things like kind of work.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's mostly down to how it's privileged white males in a country like this, where apparently the national average wage for the year is like 30 grand or something.
That'd be nice.
It would be really nice.
Yeah. But then at the same time, I don't even know what I'd do with that.
Yeah.
Like, you learn to live on the amount of money you have, and like if someone came along and just gave me an extra pile of money, I'd be like, that's nice. But I have no solution for what to do with that. In terms of because it's that thing, isn't it? Like, you live for so long, your own level of convenience. You develop your level of convenience. I have nothing in particular in my life where I'd be like, if I throw more money at it, that would solve it.
Yeah.
But then that could just be big.
I have the time and money thing, so it's like I use my time to make money.
Yeah.
But if I had money, then I'd have all the time because I wouldn't have to use my time making money.
But then how would you have the money without the time?
Exactly.
So you're trapped.
This is it. And because of that, like it's the storm of the present moment that you take everything in with. Like, I don't like my job, but it gives me money. But as a result of that, I get stressed out, and then I kind of, I don't know, I don't really vent anger or get anger or anything, but I just kind of let it pass. But there's only
like a certain level you can let that pass.
Yeah, this is it.
Something breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in a way though, that's like, it's interesting to kind of view it as that, because like obviously we're both quite aware as people. Like, I think we're fairly well adjusted in like looking into the world and trying to decide how that affects us and how that affects other people.
Well, we think about how others would feel.
We're like self-aware, so we're kind of like on that balance. But it's like there's a lot of people who are our age who aren't, and in a way you can understand, because it's like we were saying, like obviously we're males in our society, which gives us extra privilege. But then at the same time, the suicide rate for 40-year-old males is sky high.
It's a lot of pressure.
And you're like, it's because
how does that sound?
Well, it's that thing of like, because like whilst we realise we're in the trap, like we realise you got to make money to live, to do the things you want to do, but to do that you have to work, which stops you doing the things you want to do, which you're making the money for.
Yeah.
But a lot of people who have got other distractions in their lives won't notice that, and they'll just keep in the trap. And whilst you say obviously you don't vent, and like I don't vent particularly, that's why I make like my artwork stuff, is like a lot of them won't vent until they get to that age, which manifests itself as like depression, and then they kill themselves.
That's it.
So it's like this weird kind of like knock-on effect of like, whilst we have this thing which we know we can't change, you gotta be able to vent it in some way, otherwise it does more damage in the long run.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, most people we know who are 20 are thinking, I'm 20, I'm so old. Not realizing that you could be doing this for another 20 years. Like,
this is it. You'll still be thinking this in 20 years.
You know, and I guess, it comes back to like that original discussion we had at the start. Like, you see the world as you see it around you. You can't predict down the line.
Yeah.
But then...
you just got to kind of roll with it. But I've completely lost my train of thought. No, I like the idea that everything changes throughout the day. And like, I think someone told me something... I read something while I was away that was on the same sort of lines, where it's kind of like if you like the idea of stuff, you're only ever going to get disappointed.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea of coffee, and like, oh no, this is an example that I use a bit. It's like if you go to like a house party,
okay,
or any sort of event or something like that, and it's like, it's a killer night and everyone's had a wicked time and everyone's talking about it for like months and months and months, and then like a year down the line you have the same a party with a similar crowd in the same place, or the same sort of scenario that you kind of get presented in.
Yeah.
If you imagine it's going to be the same party as it was, you're only going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
But if you go into it thinking this is like a new party, this is like as if you hadn't had that first party.
Yeah.
Then you would have that same party as if like you'd have had that first party. That's...
Yeah, I get you. So it's that expectation of trying to relive like something which can't be identical.
Yeah.
Like it's that whole, I mean, to go a bit sci-fi, it's that whole like time travel thing. If like you ask someone like, oh, where would you go back in time? And it's like, yeah, you know, I go back to this day where I had a really great day, and it'd be perfect just to live that one day. It's like, yeah, but you're not the person you were.
Yeah,
so
you probably get really you get frustrated.
You'd go back and you'd be like, this is great. There's so many things which I remember, and we're reliving it. But you forget about like the 20 minutes during that day where you were kind of sad.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, like just to go with that, it's like the whole convenience thing. Whilst we've got it down to a T, to an extent.
Yeah,
like
I imagine it's going to be like Wall-E soon.
Yeah,
you know, on the ship with it.
But that's interesting though, because you think, so whilst we can see it as like, if we've got convenience down to a T, so we can go down the line of Wall-E, so it'll only get worse. Well, worse. More convenient.
Yeah. It'll only get
easier and more convenient for society. So like, if you go down that way, so like everything's getting better, and you know you don't have to worry about anything because everything's provided and you're looked after, and you got to think on the other side of that, of what effect that has on like people as people.
But
because you're being fed, so like we were saying with kids who like grow up with the technology they have now, they're not blown away by it, whereas we still look at it and we're like, shit, I can make a phone call on the internet, that's the most amazing thing in the world, whereas like to everyone else, no, that's how you make a phone call, everyone knows how you make a phone call, that's how you do it. So they're given this face of reality which they're kind of like presented, so then you get this other side of it of like with Facebook, like Facebook is a representation of reality, it's not real.
Yeah, it's an idealism, isn't it?
It's an idealized view. So everyone posts their best pictures or their worst pictures. They never post in between pictures. They never post, you know, the 20 minutes you spend staring into the fridge wondering what you're going to eat. Because that's boring. Because that's not life. So you get this snapshot of reality. So then when everything's convenience, all you receive is that snapshot of reality. Which is why you have this whole generation of people who are like, my life doesn't live up to the expectation.
It's like the social pressure from social media.
Yeah,
is gonna be the downfall.
Well, that's like, the thing. Like
especially in schools and stuff, people have like gotten really like heavily. I don't want to say criticized. That's too soft a word, but like victimized and stuff because of what they've posted online. Like they say, you know, like when we were young and we go to like a party and in a field and just get like completely fucked up.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
And then you make a huge mess of yourself, but obviously before anyone had anything to film on, no one gave a fuck because it'd be like a memory for someone. Yeah. Like they say that like drinking and drug abuse in young teens now has almost like ground to a halt because of the social pressure of how people want to appear to other people. People don't want to go to a party, get paralytic, throw up all over themselves and lose their trousers and shoes or whatever for someone to be able to record it and put it on like social media. Yeah. I mean, that is a good thing, but also like back to the whole like can't vent.
If you can't be yourself, then what's the point? And if you're trying to be a self which is mirrored on everyone else's self,
you've always got your back up trying to be like.
It's that whole quarter life crisis thing, of like.
That's the thing.
You know, do you know the thing?
Like a quarter life, is it like a midlife? But
it's our generation essentially. So like essentially what you've got is like you've got this whole idea that the midlife crisis is when you reach 40 or 50. You spend your entire life looking after your kids and your family, developing your life, and then you realise that at 40 or 50-year-old that you're not young and that you wasted 30 years. But you didn't waste 30 years because you spent it developing a family. But that doesn't matter because you've gotten to this point where you no longer have to look after anyone. So you're just suddenly finding yourself again. Whereas we, as a generation, are going through the quarter-life crisis of we've gotten to such a point of convenience and such a point of social idealized snapshot that people compare their lives to everyone else's. So you sit there and you think, I'm 25. I've accomplished nothing in, the 7 years since I left university.
And there's people that are like...
Yeah, and there's people who've done very well.
20 to 25 that are like living in LA, millionaires.
Yeah. And it's like that whole thing of like, well, their life's different. Everyone's life's different. But because we can compare it now, you're given this whole void, which you suddenly, a lot of people are heavily depressed about, and they're heavily affected by, and they have breakdowns, and they suddenly decide, I'm going to make a huge change in my life to kind of comprehend it in the same way as like someone gets to 40 or 50-year-old and they have a midlife crisis and they go, no, I need to prove I'm young. I need to buy a sports car. I need to go out and do something crazy. Whereas like people get to like 27, 28 and they're like, I'm going to be 30 in 2 years. I need to do something huge. I need to change something. Everything else is wrong because I'm feeling bad. And it's
that trickle down, like,
yeah, and you think
time and event sort of thing. Like,
if you've got that now, and we're at this stage now, if everything gets even more convenient, you're gonna get like 13-year-olds,
like an 8th life crisis,
who are just like, I'm so depressed. Everything's handed to me, and I have no idea how to. And then
they won't. Every knockback they'll get, they'll really, really struggle.
Yeah.
Because they won't be used to it, and then like you'll start a job, and because it takes a while to learn a job, or a trade or something, people will just give up. Like, and then also because of convenience, the whole short term,
it's that whole idea that I think I wrote a short story about this like once. Essentially, there was a society where nothing was wanted for. So like, if you wanted something, you got it. So like, you want a hat, you have a hat. You want a new house, they'll build you a house. So you have this whole thing. You have a job, they give you a job. But you're never fulfilled because you've never wanted, because everything's easy.
Yeah,
which meant there was this darker part of society where, at least in my story, where they had to introduce conflict to make people feel
like they didn't want the conflict.
This is the thing. Like they had this void inside them, which they didn't know how to fill it because obviously they wanted for everything was provided. So you've got this whole society and this whole world where everything's perfect. You have nothing like that. But because there's never been a challenge, they never felt accomplishment. So the way I did it was that they would basically sacrifice people in a massive stadium. And it was this idea that these people being sacrificed, so they were worth something. So then you had this like kind of bloodlust energy that you wanted to be sacrificed because you want to be worth something. You want to contribute. You'd be so willing to be sacrificed you could feel challenged.
That's something like kind of gladiatorial about that, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
But like in when Rome was kind of like at the peak of its kind of community, society, yeah, peak of its when Rome was at the peak of its society, and politics was kind of failing because the people at the top were kind of taking advantage of it, and it was kind of crumbling beneath them. But like they introduced they actually had like chefs, like celebrity chefs, and you can go to like restaurants and stuff, and it was to distract. It wasn't so much like a capitalist thing that we have, but it was to distract the people from the failing society.
Yeah.
And they paid gladiators a butt ton.
I think
that sort of
I could go on for like hours and hours about the armed forces, but so essentially you kind of like a similar version of that in our current society is how willing people are to join the army. So you've got a society. I mean, even the goddamn like the trailer for joining the army is some guy who didn't really fit in at college, didn't really achieve, works in a bar, has his day to day, and so he joins the army so he can feel like he's participating and achieving. It's like you're so willing to put yourself into a situation where you could die, and that you will kill somebody so you can feel like you exist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a fucked up way to advertise the army.
Yeah, that is really
like, and everyone's like, so there's like, no, you got to be proud of people like that. It's like, I'm not proud of someone who sees that advert and goes, you know what? Yeah, in order to feel alive, I need to put myself and other people in danger.
Yeah,
it's like I'm okay with
for
it.
a cause that, like, I mean,
well, yeah, it's like,
and that goes to the whole like patriotic sort of like, yeah, for the country sort of thing. But then it's like, I mean, it's good to be proud of something, but when, I don't know, I got some really conflicting views about
well,
this.
Well, yeah,
like,
I mean, I could go on, like, patriotism is like one of my, like, most annoying points. Like, for me, it's like, if you're joining just to kind of, like, not get into that, but get into it, like, it's kind of the thing of, like, cool, so if you're thinking of joining the army because you see it as, like, defending something, rather than going out to put yourself in a situation where you can achieve from conflict. Like, if you're joining the army so we never go to war, great. That kind of thing.
Kind of an oxymoron.
Yeah, it's an oxymoron. It's that thing of like, if your belief is taking you into that situation because you're like, it's that whole thing of like, I'm being trained to do something so I never have to use it.
Yeah, that's the Swiss tactic, I think, because they have like,
everyone's trained in Swiss.
Yeah, for 10 months or something like that.
Yeah, you have to do like army stuff. It's that kind of thing of like, everyone's trained for it, so nobody uses it.
And everyone has superpowers, no one's super.
Yeah, essentially that's it. But then, I mean, you can say that doesn't work because in America,
if
everyone has guns, no one gets hurt, right? You just like...
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing so much about it.
But no, it is that kind of ridiculousness. And it's because we're aware. You know, you're in a society where we don't have guns. And you look at it from the outside, but then from the outside, we look like mad. We look absolute madness to Americans. You know, how can you sit in your homes and not defend yourself? And it's like, because I don't think anyone's going to come into my home.
Yeah. There's no hardly anyone's guns anyway. So
it's like, they're going to come into my home and threaten me with what?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm as armed as they are.
Like, in fact, more so, because you've got... Like,
I'm in my house.
Yeah. I've got heavy objects and sharp stuff. Like,
yeah. It's like, if I'm in a bank and someone's robbing a bank, I'm probably just not going to get involved. I'm in a bank.
It's a really British thing, though. It's like, I'm just going to politely whistle into a corner while that's happening.
It's why a bank has insurance.
That's another thing I found, like, surely robbing a bank is a victimless crime, because the bank has an insurance company that earns enough to reimburse the banks.
Yeah, I think you could say that about like a lot of things like that.
Yeah, like stealing from Tesco.
Like, yeah, if you're stealing for a major conglomerate. But then I guess the challenge to that is like, so if you see it as a victimless crime, and everyone sees it as a victimless crime, and then everyone starts stealing from Tesco. And then, but like, if the guy who owns Tesco can no longer make profit, he has to shut down Tesco.
Yeah, but it's not like he's going to shut down Tesco and have to get another job, is it?
No, but everyone who works for Tesco is now suddenly unemployed.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's that kind of like, it's that weird knock. It's like with banks.
It's that
like
convenience, like
you rob a bank,
someone over.
Bank's fine. It's got insurance. It'll survive. It'll not be like a huge thing. It's like, right, but if that happens enough, then banks close branches because they need to put more money into security, which means they need less employees and more security guards. And it's that whole like weird balance thing.
Yeah.
Which you can't really comprehend because you can never see the full trickle down.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So fundamentally, it's like everything.
It's
fundamentally,
it's the idea. The idea is great. You could, but if you take it to an extreme, it's like it's that whole. It's like we've developed this convenience thing, but we're at a point where convenience could get to an extreme. But if you take any idea, no matter how good it is, to an extreme, it's always going to fail. It's like, I mean, it's that whole... Because, like, nihilism's huge at the minute. Like, that's weird to say, right? Like, nihilism as a trend is huge.
Totally. Hashtag Nietzsche.
Yeah, you know. I mean, like, fuck, I'm guilty of it. I make a calendar full of depressed animals. That's what I do.
They're really good, by the way. Storm and Angels.
Oh, no, they're different. Those are happy animals.
Ah.
The depressed one, I'll show you in a bit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm making another one for next year. Just plugging a product on this podcast. But like, yeah, like everyone's kind of like jumping on this whole like nihilistic idea and like, oh yeah, you know, this thing. But like nihilism as an idea is interesting. But if you take it to the extreme, you have to kill yourself.
Yeah, because if nothing matters, then...
Well, if nothing matters and there's no way to exert control of your life, the only control you can have is when you end it.
That goes back to your...
Which
you thought about this, like...
Well,
it's exactly, it's spot on. But then there's the other... I like the other side of that, where it's... because nothing quite, like... Everything's just going to happen. You can kind of just do what you want.
Yeah.
and have fun with it.
Well, yeah,
Because like don't take it too seriously. Like and then you get the good side of it.
yeah, and you're
that's easily abused as well.
Yeah.
Then you get someone who
you take it too far.
I was thinking the other day, right? Say you committed a crime.
Yeah.
Right, but you were so sure that you hadn't committed a crime in your conviction.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So say it came down to like a lie detector test or something,
Mm-hmm.
like some Jeremy Kyle something like.
Yeah.
And you were so sure that what you were doing wasn't a crime, that you passed the lie detector test, and
Mm-hmm.
but you had done it.
Yeah.
Like. Surely that's kind of like. It goes down to the perspective of like that individual. Like if they truly think that they haven't done anything wrong, have they done something? Wait, where is I going with this? I don't know. They haven't done anything. No, I'm not.
Are you wondering how does that work in society?
Yeah.
Well, that's essentially you kind of like the way you need to think of that is that crime is defined by society, which is why laws are different country to country. So, like in the UK, we'll take like legal age of consent. So, UK is 16. America is 18. So, let's say if you had someone who was in the UK go to the US and they slept with someone who was 17, in the UK that's not seen as a crime because they're legal there, but in the US it is a crime. So you've got two places where the law conflicts, so you can commit a crime in one country but not in another country. So they could think they hadn't committed a crime. So then if you take that to like a different crime, like murder, you see murder as a crime because it is defined by the society you're in that to kill another person is a crime. But if you were so convinced that it wasn't a crime because you weren't murdering them, for instance, like you were sacrificing them, or you were helping the larger cause,
or if you had, if you thought that they'd done something so truly horrendous that they,
it's that whole like terrorist Anders Breivik, the guy who went and shot those kids on the island. He is completely convinced that he didn't do something wrong because he sees it as he was helping his cause, he was defending his race, he was sacrificing people. So you've got that whole thing. It's like, right, so he doesn't think it's a crime, but the society he's in does think it's a crime. So they see it as a mental health issue.
That is it. That must be what it goes. Like,
that's essentially what it breaks down to. Is like if you are so sure of yourself that you don't think you've committed a crime and you can't be convinced that you've committed a crime, that's when it's mental health, because it's that disconnect from being unaware of the society you're in, that you don't care because it's your idea. And as a society or as a human being, you're meant to care to some sense, but it's sociopath.
I know. Like,
but then that's
he's kind of doing that now.
But then you could say,
like, he's got loads of like.
I mean, you could say like, in a way, is our society getting to a point where we're aiding that, because we're creating idealized snapshots and idealized views, which means could you have people in society who've created their own community, who then see it as, well, what we're doing is right and everyone else is wrong, and if I step into this, and that's essentially how like indoctrination works. If you send to a group of people and all of those people are telling you are right, you are going to believe you are right.
Yeah.
If you religion and homosexuality, if you're gay in a Christian family and that family tells you that you're the devil, you will believe that you're the devil. And it's that whole, whilst we have this brilliant thing which we've created, it's way more dangerous than a lot of people realise.
Yeah.
So is it convenient anymore? So, to get off like a really dark point, it's like, is it convenient? Because it's not convenient to have such a weapon. Because
but then that's it. Like global connectivity is hella convenient. Like we can call someone in Japan now live, and we can get the lowdown and stuff. But it's also inconvenient because we've only just like, imagine if someone gave you a mug, right, and you've never seen a mug before. Yeah. Like you're not going to use it for its original purpose first, are you? No. You'll like pick it up and like shake it around, and you'll probably put something in it or something, but like obviously not coffee or to drink out of it. Like that's global connectivity as it is right now. It's so fresh and so new that it's been used at so many different angles. It's both convenient, inconvenient, dangerous, clever, important. It's going to be interesting to see what the next 20 years is going to do.
It's like, again, I think, yeah, you're kind of in that situation where it's like, it's weirdly, it's absurd. And everything's absurd. But that's interesting. And like some people, in a way, I feel like sorry for them that some people are scared of that. Like some people look at it as like, no, this is madness, we need to stop, we need to slow down, we need to go back. It's like, you can't stop. Because that's how life works.
This ball is rolling, man.
It just keeps going. You can't stop. Even if you try to go back, you're making something new. You're not making, like you said, with like you're not making the ideal you try to go back to. It's like people who want to go back to like the 1950s. You know, it's like you can't go back to that. Too much has changed.
Yeah. Like.
Yeah.
But it's funny as well because we change and try and progress.
Yeah.
So like since the 50s to now. Is obviously like completely different, but what I think will happen, which has happened before, I think, is that it will change so much it will just come around and meet itself back again.
We could do.
But because we've moved forward in the change, because we're not going back to that time.
Yeah,
it's easy to move forward, kind of back into it. I would imagine.
I think in a way, yeah, you're right, and I think
obviously different because.
Well, it's the thing, like you kind of like saying like, it's that thing of like people who. They want to go back to it, and it can go completely circular. I mean, I think that's like a lot of people have with the whole gender thing. Of like, you get a lot of men who are scared because they're like, we've been the top for forever, right? So if women become equal, at some point they have to become the top, which men become lower, and that's what they worry about. That's what's huge in their mind.
Well, I guess it's like the testosterone, and it's like this competition instead of cooperation.
Yeah, and they see it as that, so it's like this weird kind of thing, but it's like, you can take that to like any aspect. So you've got people who want to go back to like 1950s and have segregated communities and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, right, take that as an idea, take that as a thing, but then you also have to consider no one's going to forget the last 200 years. Which means now, instead of having a society which you had before, which was segregated and people were unaware, you have a society which is segregated and aware. Which means, in a way, it'll have to be worse. Because you'd be completely aware of what situation you were in.
And all the flaws.
And all the flaws. So it's like, so rather than having like, if you were to go like a really fucked up path of like segregated communities and then back to slavery, it's like, right, so slavery was fucked up to begin with. It can only be worse. It would only be more violent and more detrimental to people and more damaging. And we have the technology to control people in ways you wouldn't believe.
Well, there's the whole like, yeah.
It's like, so whilst it's circular,
if you dress it, or if you come at it from a different angle, like I guess some people would find it easier to do, like easier to live with it, to sleep in it.
Well, yeah, it's that whole thing of like. Dehumanizing the victim makes things simpler. It's like if you don't
assets or something.
Well, yeah, it's like it's the same as like it's essentially the same as terrorism. It's like if you make something the enemy, you don't care about hurting it because it's the enemy. You forget that it's a person, and you forget it's like if something is bad and you don't see it as a person anymore, and that's essentially how racism works.
Yeah, racial slurs do that, I think.
Yeah, it's like you're dehumanizing it. So it's no longer human, therefore it's an animal, which means you can mistreat it. If it's not an animal, it's an object, so you can mistreat it. And it's like, that's the kind of, rather than, like, whilst we have progressed as everything, that's the part which is kind of, that needs the heavy focus, is that people need to be taught from early on that you can't dehumanize. Even though we all know it's possible. It's that you can't dehumanize it and you shouldn't dehumanize it because that's something you'd never really pushed on.
That's something that is quite like...
It's like, do you progress the technology or do you progress the people?
I think, well, we're getting pretty excited about technology at the moment, aren't we?
Which is more convenient.
that's
the fucked up part.
Which one makes more money?
Yeah, which one makes more money?
Which is more convenient for
which one buys me a TV and heats my house? Is it teaching a kid that you can't treat someone like that, or is it teaching that kid that if he kills that person there's less people to compete?
Is it? Oh, like I said, it's going to be interesting, man.
I find it funny because it's like, in a way I feel like with me and you it's always been like we're on two sides of the same coin. Like I mean I approach things from a very dark point of view constantly, whereas me and you're always fairly relaxed and you always point out the positive aspect.
Yeah, but I still take.
But I know
I
you
entertain the idea of bleak. Like,
whereas like I start at the dark, and then I entertain the idea that it could be happy.
yeah, like the opposite, the balance of opposites.
It's like, yeah, we're both starting from different points, but we're both aware the other side exists. Which, you know,
That is it.
in a way, is convenience in itself.
That was a good.
I think, yeah. I mean, I knew, yeah, it's going to be one of those things that we could talk about this for hours and hours and on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a good point to end on is that it's at least going to be interesting.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
To not give a fuck.
The question is, do we come back in like 10 years and do this again?
Hopefully not, like, that long.
No. Oh no.
I don't know.
I don't know, like that is the thing I've considered, like having people back to chat about things. But how long do you leave them?
That's a good point.
Like you could come back next week and we'd end up on the same topic again.
Yeah.
We need to go long enough that there's like a period of change.
I reckon, well, I mean, like, shit's changing real quick, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
there's first Donald Trump,
Yeah.
and then, well, not first actually, like recently,
Donald
and then you got
Trump,
North Korea, like,
Yeah.
pricking their ears a bit more, and then you have and then you have like us leaving Brexit, which is doing the trade agreements.
Yeah.
So we're getting rid of European trade agreements and going worldwide trade agreements, and then we have to kind of talk to other countries, and then like I reckon in the next 4 or 5 years, something drastic will have happened. Whether we will realise it or not, because we might be so desensitised by it,
We could be
or
disrespectful.
caught up by convenience.
I mean,
Like, no one gives a fuck if you get pizza in 20 minutes, right?
That's a tragic point. But I think that's a point to end on. So we can talk about this forever, but if I can get 20-minute pizza and not have to think about the day, then yeah. Great.
I got some Facebook scrolling to
Yeah.
to do
I'm
for
sure
a couple of hours.
there's a memory or something which I've missed or something.
Yeah.
There's something embarrassing I said 2 years ago and wants to remind me of.
That is it.
We've got to see how the friends are doing.
That is it.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on, Cam.
Mate, it's been a pleasure. No, thanks for having me, man.
And we'll definitely be back.
Definitely.
Yeah. Cool. We'll talk to you guys later.